Hi guys, so today I really wanted to talk about the things that can go wrong when we are comparing our body types with celebrity examples. Now, celebrity examples are an amazing tool to learn about the body types, the different kippy body types, and this is why I use so many celebrity examples on my channel. But at the same time, I always see in the comments that a lot of people are sort of straying and looking at different things about the body types that are not actually there. And also, even in my real life examples of the body types, I saw a lot of comments that maybe I wanted to speak to today. So a lot of the time, I feel like people will sort of try to latch on to some sort of stereotype or something like that about a certain body type, like how theatrical romantics often have long arms and legs. And even though it's true, sure, that theatrical romantics can have long arms and legs, it's not always very helpful. It's actually not helpful whatsoever to think of it that way when you're trying to learn about the body types, when you're trying to body type yourself, because you yourself could be a theatrical romantic with short legs like Mila Kunis. But if you start to come to these conclusions from the types of trends that you might see, you might actually be making negative progress basically in finding your own body type. So that is one of the things that I often see, is this idea of sort of trying to put a trend onto a body type that doesn't necessarily exist, and it's just because it's a small sample of the body types that you're looking at. It's a small sample of celebrities that maybe you're looking at. Oftentimes I will do sort of one celebrity and I will body type them, and sometimes I'll hear things like, oh well, even under my Lily Cole video where I typed her as a soft gamine, I saw some comments that were talking about how, yeah, definitely, because she has a bobblehead. Soft gamines don't necessarily have bobbleheads. Halle Berry doesn't have a bobblehead, and she's Kibbe verified soft gamine. So this kind of thing of trying to put certain characteristics on body types that are not necessarily there are definitely potentially doing more harm than good when it comes to you finding your own body type. So that's sort of the first thing. And that's more in general, that's not even just for celebrity comparisons. Another thing that I often find is that people will, and of course, people are going to be smart enough to realize if a celebrity has a different style from you, that's not going to make you sort of not see that you have similarities with them. So if there's a soft gamine who has a different style from me, I'm going to be able to still tell if they look like me or not. And I'll give some examples later of some celebrities that look like me and sort of talk through their faces and talk through the lines of their faces. But I can tell if someone looks similar to me regardless of what their style is, and that usually won't really lead people astray. But what will lead people astray a lot is, again, looking at these different characteristics that don't really contribute to the body type at all. So let me give you guys some examples. Sometimes I've been told that I look like Catherine Zeta-Jones. Now, Catherine Zeta-Jones to me, she doesn't really look that much like me, but I can see what some people are saying when they tell me this, because we do have a similar coloring. So I can definitely see how some people could say I look like Catherine Zeta-Jones. But the thing is that Catherine Zeta-Jones is a soft dramatic. And you can even see that from her face, that she is a soft dramatic. So even from her face alone, you can see that she's soft dramatic, and you can see that now when you take a closer look, you can see that there are very, very large, serious differences in our faces that change our body type, even though maybe you think that we might look kind of similar. So her cheekbones are sharp, but my cheekbones are wide. They're answer B cheekbones. Her cheekbones are answer A. Her nose is answer A. It's pretty sharp and narrow. And my nose is answer B. It's pretty wide. Now, we've already done two answers and they're both different, but this time it's just the difference between soft yang and bold yang. Now we have the eyes. My eyes are rounder, so my eyes are like answer E eyes, maybe D, kind of like in between. I would say more answer E. but they're also kind of upturned, so, you know, it depends. But her eyes are almond shaped, so they are answer A. Now let's move on to the cheeks. I would say that, you know, she is a little bit older in this photo than me, so I would say she does have soft cheeks. If you look at more of her images, she has soft cheeks. I have soft cheeks too, so we both have answer D, soft cheeks. So that's basically, I believe that's our only similarity on the body types test, on the actual lines that make up our face. And our lips, of course, her lips are full, my lips are answer A, they are thin. Finally, our jawlines are very different. So you can see that Catherine Zeta-Jones' jawline is answer A. It is sharp and it has some sharp angles, and my jawline is answer E. So it is pretty rounded and you can't really see any angles or anything like that. So my jawline is answer E. And so this is a part of why I have this gamine face. So we completely have different answers on the body types test for our faces, and that's really what matters when it comes to the best lines that complement you, because when we are looking at a face, we usually don't look at the lines that make up the face, we look at the shapes of the face, right? So you could say that the reason why I could look kind of similar, or some people might think I look similar to Catherine Zeta-Jones, is because of the spacing of our features. So the spacing of our features is actually quite similar, and the shape of our faces is a little bit similar, as in we have a similar length of face. So both of these characteristics have nothing to do with the lines that we use to draw the face, right? But they are things that we're used to looking at either as humans or in society or anything like that, and those things that we are looking for when we're looking for people who look similar to each other are very different than the things that we should be looking for if we're looking for similarities between the body types or similarities that you might have with celebrities. So in my videos, when I talk about what I'm looking at when I'm typing a certain celebrity, it's just as important to remember what I'm not looking at when I type a certain celebrity. So keep that in mind always, and try not to sort of look at other characteristics that might not necessarily lend themselves well to you finding your body type and might just like confuse you basically. So let's move on to the next example. I think these are fun. I don't know. I hope you guys think these are fun. One of you guys told me that I look like Jackie Kennedy, and I also can see sort of how this could be. And again, the things that we have in common are, she does look like somehow she has a little bit of that softness to her face, and she also has a shorter face. But she is dramatic classic and I am soft gamine. So she's dramatic classic on Kibby's list. So Jackie Kennedy and I do have some similarities, but they're not similarities on the body types test at all. And they're not similarities in the lines that we use to draw our faces. So you can see that we do kind of look similar because we have a similar coloring. She has dark hair, I have dark hair. She has relatively light to medium skin, I have light to medium skin. We both have brown eyes and we have dark brows. So other similarities is that, the shape of our face is pretty similar. Like we both have a shorter face. So that is really going to make having the same length of face makes people look kind of similar already. And the spacing of our features might be similar as well. But let's actually compare Jackie's face to my face in terms of the lines that make up her face. So you can see that, again, my nose is wider than hers. Her nose is answer C, moderate, not too wide, not too dainty, or not too rounded. My cheekbones are wider than hers. Her cheekbones are pretty moderate. Again, she's dramatic classic. And her jawline is slightly less soft and rounded than mine. So her jawline is a moderate jawline. Her eyes are answer B, so they are wide apart and they're pretty small. So they are answer B eyes. Her cheeks are probably moderate. I would say maybe even her cheeks are a little bit soft, maybe moderate, and my cheeks are soft. And her lips are pretty moderate and my lips are small. So all of this, right, completely different, even though you could say that we look sort of similar. Let's look at the next example, Jennifer Morrison. I've gotten this one before as well. So she is actually, I don't want to commit to this, but I feel like I might have actually found a modern day pure classic in Jennifer Morrison. I think she's actually a pure classic. So if you are looking to see what a pure classic looks like, then this is what she looks like. So you can see again that we have a similar length face. So this is really going to make us look maybe a little bit similar. And at the same time, everything else about us is completely different. The spacing of our features is sort of similar because we have both have shorter faces, but everything else is pretty different. Her eyes are moderate, my eyes are rounded. Her nose is moderate, not too sharp, not too soft, and my nose is wide and pretty angular and wide, so that's answer B. Again, you can see that her jawline is not as soft as mine. Her jawline is a moderate jawline. Her cheekbones are not as wide as mine. Her cheekbones are moderate. Her eyes are not as rounded as mine. Her eyes are moderate. Her lips are not as thin as mine. Her lips are moderate, and her cheeks are pretty moderate as well. So anyway, so you can see that Jennifer Morrison also, even though she looks like me, it's not exactly the same thing. So why am I doing all of this? It's really to show that we are really, when we start out with kitty body typing, and I was the same way, all of those things that we are looking for might not be the things that we're used to looking for. And that's really where people can go wrong. And also because it's such a different paradigm, it's such a different sort of thing to train your eye to look for, a lot of people will even go into sort of coping with this by trying to find an easier way rather than training the eye to really see these lines. And I really want to discourage you from doing that, because if you're trying to find easier ways, like, oh, well, the theatrical romantics have long arms and legs all the time, you might find that, you're right often, you're right most of the time, or maybe half the time, maybe around half the time, using these kinds of stereotypes or using celebrity lookalikes or something like that, but you're really not going to truly understand the system and truly sort of understand the lines of the body and sort of how they lend to the lines of the clothing. And now let's look at someone who does not look anything like me, but they are soft gamine. Reese Witherspoon looks pretty much nothing like me. I've never been told that I look like Reese Witherspoon, but I'm sure the day will come that one day someone will tell me that I look like Reese Witherspoon, because I don't know about you guys, but whenever someone tells me that I look like someone, I feel like I don't usually see it that much. They're always like shocked, and I feel like, okay, like, yeah, I can kind of see it, but also I look completely different. So I think that's just a feature of sort of knowing your face better than everyone else. But anyway, maybe one day somebody will tell me that I look like Reese Witherspoon and I'll be completely shocked. But I don't think I look anything like her, and I'm sure most people would agree. So why am I choosing Reese Witherspoon? Because she is a soft gamine who looks literally nothing like me. And this is why people get really, really frustrated when they look at all of these celebrity examples and they feel like they don't look like those celebrity examples. Of course, if I was just new and I was coming to body typing, I would be very frustrated to find that, or if I even just saw Reese Witherspoon on a list of soft gamines, I would immediately discount soft gamine altogether, because I would say I have no similarities with Reese Witherspoon. But I want to show you guys sort of what happens when we actually go through, and I'm not going to go through the whole body types test for each one of us or anything like that, but I will go through just the beginning of it. So let's look at the face first. So with the face, she has answer A, cheekbones, answer B, jawline, and her nose is answer A. So her nose is angular, her jawline is a pretty sort of visually heavy, so I would say that's an answer B, jawline, but it's also a little bit sharp. So BA, there aren't any real life, exact BA answers. Sometimes it can be a mixture of both, so I don't stress it too much. I just say BA. And here we have, okay, her nose is sharp. So her facial bone structure has more yang than mine does in her face alone. And then when we look at her facial features, actually, she and I have the same yin-yang balance. So in this case, she has answer D, eyes, answer D, lips, and answer A, cheeks. So her cheeks are really very taut. For me, some of my answers are flipped. So I have answer A, lips, but she has full lips, but I have full cheeks and she has taut cheeks. So we flip those answers. That's a part of why we don't look anything alike. That's a part of why. Also, her face is longer and my face is shorter. And of course, she's blonde, so she doesn't look much like me. But even if I don't think it's even that she's blonde. I think it's really that her face looks nothing like mine. Even if she was brunette, she would look nothing like me. But the point is that it's the face length, the face shape, especially for gamines, they can look so different from each other. And even within one body type, you can have so many differences in terms of sort of answer E eyes versus answer D eyes look pretty different. You can see that Reese Witherspoon's eyes are more answer D. They're pretty upturned. They're a little bit smaller and they're close together. And mine are answer E. They're more rounded. So our eyes look nothing similar, but they're both yin eyes. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. So don't get discouraged too much if you don't look anything like the celebrities that are a certain body type, and don't necessarily discount it. Instead, I really hope you use my videos to really train your eye to understand what to look for, and at the same time what not to look for, which is just as important. And it's really almost a philosophical principle. Anything that you're doing, that you're trying to do right, it's important to think about what you're doing, but it's just as important to think about what you're not doing. So don't just look the way that you've looked don't look at celebrities the way that you've looked at them your entire life, because this entire system is all about the lines that you're using to draw the body, the lines that you're using to draw the face. It's not necessarily about the way that a person looks, the way that we've learned it as humans, the way that we've learned it in society. It's really very different. It's a very different sort of paradigm. It's a very different type of skill in a way, and it's really, really worthwhile to learn, because once you learn it, you can really understand your own body. You can really understand the lines that make up your own body, and it's just really interesting to see. And it's also very practical as well, obviously, because you'll know what's going to look good on you before you even try it on. So that is sort of what's going on. So if you're still here, I wanted to show you guys this, just as I mentioned initially, this sort of thing with Reese Witherspoon, just from shoulders up. So shoulders up, so you can see, I don't know, we've already gone through Reese Witherspoon's and our faces, so you know what the answers are to that. But you can see, or I don't know, maybe you can see in some of my other videos, but I have some pretty sloped and then sharp shoulders. So I've answered D, shoulders, but my vertical line is long, so I look very tall. So my vertical line is answer A, but my shoulders are answer D. So a lot of you guys are telling me, Miriam, no, you have wider shoulders. I don't have wide shoulders. I just am tall, so my head is small. So that's why my shoulders on camera might look a little bit wider, but relative to my whole body, they don't look that wide. So the point here is that Reese has the opposite effect. So Reese has her bigger head, so she has a short vertical line, and remember that she also had an extra yang answer in her facial bone structure than me. So I have that rounded jawline, but she has a more yang jawline, and the rest of her facial bone structure is all yang. But when you start to add all of this together, from shoulders up, Reese Witherspoon and I actually have the same yin and yang balance, because even from shoulders up, you can already tell how tall someone is because of the size of their head oftentimes. Oftentimes you can tell. Sometimes you can't always tell, but I just thought this was a super interesting thing to show you guys, just how different answers flipped around, especially for gamines, but really for all body types, even for dramatic classics or anything really. Theatrical romantics, especially, anyone with any kind of undercurrent, you're going to find differences that are very, very prominent, and they're going to look different, but they're not different in terms of the yin and yang balance, and they're not different in terms of what actually matters for the body type. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts below, and I will talk to you guys next time.